drawn and redrawn, the making of India's internal boundaries.
Hi, and welcome back to India's State Stories, a project that explores the evolution of India's political and administrative boundaries. This project is supported by the Center for Legislative Education and Research, Flame University, Pune.
Integration of princely states was a complex process which resulted in the new states that were divided into 4 administrative categories, parts A, B, C, and D. This series focuses on the 3 main categories that are part A, B, and C. In the first part, we will be exploring the integration of princely states that formed the part A states. In other words, they were absorbed and merged into their respective British provinces. These range from major states like Baroda, Kolhapur to smaller and little known regions like Sandur and patchwork of states in modern day Gujarat and Orissa. The merger agreements for most of the states were modelled after Orissa and Chhattisgarh state mergers, and their administration was transferred to provincial governments. Now let's look at the stories of each of these in more detail in the following episodes. Listen to the first 3 episodes of Season 2 to understand a deeper context. These episodes give an overview of the entire process of integration, along with an introduction to the legal instruments and some key personalities which made it possible. More details are in the show notes below, and let's dive in.
Imagine this, a state in India, more than a century ago, actually pioneering compulsory free education for everyone, establishing a major bank, building this huge railway network, way before many of its neighbors even thought about it.
It sounds almost like fiction, doesn't it?
Exactly. But it wasn't some utopia. It was Baroda, a princely state. And its story is, well, it's incredible. Progress, yes, but also high-stakes talks, dramatic choices, even personal sacrifice, all during India's birth.
A really pivotal time.
Definitely. So today we're doing a deep dive into the sources we have on Baroda State. We want to unpack its remarkable history.
Okay.
Starting with that progressive golden age under Sir Sayaji Rao, and then moving through the complex and really emotionally charged journey of its integration into the Indian Union under his successor, Sir Pratap Singh.
Right. 2 very different phases.
Our mission here is to pull out the key insights, maybe some surprising facts, and definitely the human drama behind this really crucial moment in history.
Sounds good.
You'll discover how this state, which was actually geographically scattered all over the place, became this beacon of modernity.
Yeah, that geographical point is key.
And then how its rulers dealt with the immense pressures of a new independent India, where, princely power was basically fading away, making room for democratic unity.
It's a story about power, ambition,
and forging a nation. Get ready.
Let's do it.
Okay, so let's unpack this incredible legacy first. Baroda wasn't just, any princely state. It was substantial.
Oh, yeah. We're talking over 8,000 square miles, around 3 million people back then.
And a hefty annual revenue, something like Rs 7 crore.
That's right. But the real significance, as you said, was its progressive administration, especially under Sir Sayaji Rao.
So what really makes him stand out? What was so visionary?
Well, it's his foresight, really. Think about it. Introducing compulsory and free primary education back in 1893.
1893, that's incredibly early.
It is. And he made it universal across the state by 1906. This wasn't just like a nice policy. It was a radical investment in people.
Building for the future, not just managing the day-to-day.
Exactly. He saw that an educated population was the foundation for a modern state, something, many places still grapple with today.
That's a really powerful point. And it wasn't just education, right? He was active on the financial front, too.
Absolutely. He got rid of transit duties in 1887, most customs duties by 1909, really streamlined commerce.
Made it easier to do business.
And a really telling move, showing his grasp of economic integration, was withdrawing Baroda's own local Baba Shahi currency.
Oh, right.
And adopting the British Indian silver coinage in 1901 instead. Plus, he spurred business, setting up institutions like the Bank of Baroda in 1901.
And infrastructure, agriculture.
Yep. Pushed experimental farming, cooperative credit societies for farmers, and built up this impressive railway network. The state itself owned over 700 miles of open lines.
Wow. So Baroda under Sayaji Rao is actively building a modern state, almost like he saw what a future India might need.
It certainly seems that way.
But how did this internal drive, this modernizing push, how did it mesh with, or maybe clash with, the bigger political changes sweeping across India?
Well, that's the core question, isn't it? This internal dynamism meant Baroda was well-run, efficient, but it also had that unique geographical problem we touched on.
The scattered territories.
Exactly. Not one contiguous block. Bits and pieces mixed in with Bombay Province, other Gujarat states, even parts of Kathiawar.
That must have been an administrative nightmare, even with efficient systems.
It definitely posed difficulties. And this fragmentation, despite the good administration, became a critical vulnerability as India headed towards independence.
So even progressive internal policies couldn't fully shield it from the bigger picture.
It seems not. Geopolitics often trumps internal efficiency, you could say.
Okay, so we have this remarkably progressive yet fragmented state. Then history shifts gears dramatically. The British are leaving. Paramountcy over the princely states is going to lapse. Can you just quickly explain what paramountcy really meant?
Sure. Paramountcy was, in essence, the British Crown's supreme authority over the princely states. They handled defense, foreign affairs. Basically, the states weren't fully sovereign.
So the British were the ultimate power.
Right. When paramountcy lapsed, it was like the umbrella was removed. Theoretically, these states were free. They could choose to join India, join Pakistan, or maybe even try to stay independent.
A huge decision.
Yeah.
And for a fragmented state like Baroda.
On an immediate and massive dilemma. What path do you take when your own territory isn't even connected?
And connecting this to the bigger picture, the Indian National Congress, they had a clear goal since, 1938?
Yeah, their aim was clear. Integrate these states into the Indian Union. They wanted political homogeneity, a unified nation.
And Baroda, at first, seemed pretty willing to play ball.
It did, initially. Baroda was actually among the first states to send representatives to the Constituent Assembly in 1947. That was a big signal.
Showing intent to participate.
Exactly. And crucially, it agreed to sign the instrument of accession just before the transfer of power.
And that covered what? Defense, external affairs?
And communications. Just those three key subjects ceded to the Dominion of India. It was a limited accession, designed to let states keep control over most internal things.
Okay, so far, so cooperative. But then things get, dramatic. And very personal. What happened next with Sir Pratap Singh, Sayaji Rao's successor?
Yeah, here's where the story takes a real turn. Despite that initial cooperation, Pratap Singh starts trying to, bargain for his position. Sources actually describe him as having staggering delusions about his future role.
Staggering delusions. That's quite the phrase. What did he do?
Well, get this. September 1947, right in the middle of the Junagadh crisis.
Which was a huge mess, with Junagadh trying to join Pakistan.
Precisely, a major flashpoint. So Pratap Singh sees this chaos and offers Sardar Patel a deal. He says he'll help keep the peace in the western Indian states if India grants him responsibility over all of them, all the Gujarat states included.
Responsibility meeting.
He apparently expected to be crowned king of Gujarat for his troubles. He was aiming for a status like the Nizam of Hyderabad.
Wow. A king of Gujarat. In 1947. How did Sardar Patel react to that?
Predictably, Patel shut it down. Hard. He made it crystal clear that these kinds of ambitions were completely out of touch with the new reality of a unified, democratic India.
So a sharp rejection.
Absolutely. And interestingly, once Pratap Singh realized how badly he'd misjudged things, he tried to blame his Dewan, his chief minister, Bilal Mittal.
Pass the buck.
Seems like it. But Mittal, the sources say, flatly denied having anything to do with the King of Gujarat idea. It really highlights Pratap Singh's struggle, perhaps his desperation, to retain power and status.
It really raises that question again. Was this just personal ambition running wild? Or was it influenced by the sheer turbulence of the time, maybe a genuine misunderstanding of how drastically the power dynamics had shifted?
It's likely a mix of all those things. And remember, while this is happening, Baroda is also facing serious pressure from within.
The internal situation. What was going on there?
There was a growing popular movement demanding responsible government. It gained real momentum in January 1948.
Influenced by what was happening elsewhere?
Partly, yeah. The formation of the Saurashtra Union, where nearby smaller states merged and moved towards popular rule, definitely played a role. It showed rulers were giving up power.
So pressure from his own people.
And his relationship with his own newly formed popular ministry. Apparently, it was very strained. He complained he wasn't being consulted on administration.
So he felt squeezed from the outside by Delhi and squeezed from the inside by the democratic movement and his own ministers.
Exactly. Increasingly isolated, it seems.
A very difficult position.
Yeah.
And this is where VP Menon comes in. the Secretary of the State's Ministry. He was Patel's right-hand man for integration, wasn't he?
He was the key negotiator, fixer, administrator for bringing the states into India.
So how did Menon handle this delicate situation with Pratap Singh? High stakes, clearly.
Menon's approach was, well, very pragmatic, very shrewd. He didn't just make demands, he made arguments.
Like what?
First, he pointed out that by granting responsible government, the Maharaja had already effectively become just a constitutional head. His real power was already shrinking.
Undermining the argument for holding out for more power.
Precisely. Then, Menon cleverly used Baroda's geography against Pratap Singh. He emphasized how the scattered territories, mixed in with Gujarat and Kathiawar, made Baroda incredibly vulnerable.
Vulnerable to what?
To linguistic rivalries, mainly. Remember, the Maharaja was a Maratha, but most of his subjects were Gujarati. In the new India, organized increasingly along linguistic lines, that could become a serious source of instability for him personally.
So Menon painted a picture of potential future chaos if Baroda tried to remain separate.
Exactly, a future where the Maharaja might be increasingly marginalized even within his own former state.
So Menon lays out the problems. What was his proposed solution, and what did he offer in return?
The solution was clear: full merger with Bombay Province. And the offer was security. Menon assured Pratap Singh that the government of India would guarantee his privy purse.
The annual payment.
Yes, tax-free. And also safeguard his personal privileges and his position as Maharaja, even without ruling power.
So security and status in exchange for the state. How did Pratap Singh react?
He hesitated. Understandably. He even consulted his wife, the Maharani Shantadevi. Apparently, she was strongly against the merger.
But he didn't listen to her.
Ultimately, no. The sources say he made his own decision. He felt he wouldn't get fair treatment from his own ministry in Baroda anymore. He decided his best bet, his future, lay with the government of India.
A calculated decision, then, despite the opposition.
It seems so. His executive council formally endorsed the decision on January 28, 1949. It was announced publicly a few days later, January 31st.
And the actual signing of the agreement, the sources mentioned it was quite emotional.
Deeply emotional, apparently. After signing the final papers, Pratap Singh just broke down in front of Menon.
Wow.
Menon, sticking to his promise, reassured him again, telling him he'd get the best possible deal on the privy purse, his privileges, his personal properties.
It really hits home, doesn't it? The sheer personal weight of these decisions for the rulers, giving up centuries of dynastic rule.
Absolutely. It wasn't just politics. It was the end of an era, personally and historically.
That raw emotion underscores the gravity. But for nation building, emotion isn't enough. The agreements themselves had to be solid. You mentioned this Baroda agreement was kind of a model.
It really was, because it tackled so many complex issues head-on. The level of detail, the foresight. It set precedents for how other similar integrations would be handled.
Okay, let's get into those details. The privy purse amount must have been a major negotiation point.
Huge. There was sort of standard formula used for smaller eastern states capping the purse at Rs 10 lakh, but Baroda was different. It was considered a major viable state with that progressive legacy.
So they got more.
Much more. Pratap Singh's privy purse was fixed at Rs 26.5 lakh annually, tax-free and explicitly guaranteed by the central government.
26.5 lakh? That's a very significant sum back then.
It was the second largest privy purse granted, actually. Only the Nizam of Hyderabad got more. It reflected Baroda's importance.
Okay, besides the money, what about his personal wealth versus the state's assets? That must have been tricky to untangle.
Extremely tricky. He had to agree, formally, to draw a line, demarcate his private properties from state properties.
Separate lists.
Yes. And critically, he had to commit to setting aside funds for 2 state trusts his predecessor, Sayaji Rao, had pledged, each worth a crore of rupees, for public utility and education.
So ensuring public money stayed public.
Exactly. And it got even more specific. He had to promise to return money he'd apparently taken from the state treasury. He had to update the Jawahar Khana records the state jewel inventory.
The jewels. Always a point of contention.
Always. He had to provide separate lists of private versus state jewels and commit to bringing back valuable pieces, pearl and diamond necklaces, apparently, that he'd taken to England.
Wow, they really went into the weeds on that.
They had to. He also agreed to create a trust for all his remaining personal property, specifically for the benefit of the Maharani and their children.
Protecting the family's future, too.
Yes. These were incredibly detailed, sensitive negotiations, trying to balance the ruler's personal claims with the new reality of the state belonging to India.
And legally, what happened to the old agreements? Like the instrument of accession he'd signed earlier?
Superseded. The new merger agreement explicitly overrode the instrument of accession and the standstill agreement. This was key.
Why was that so important?
Because it meant the the government of India gained full and exclusive jurisdiction and power over the state. No more shared sovereignty, no ambiguity. Baroda was fully part of India.
Got it. Full integration. Anything else significant in the agreement?
One other important clause was protection for state servants. It basically said that nobody could face legal action, civil or criminal, for things they did as a state servant before the merger, unless the government of India approved it first.
Protecting the administration during the transition.
Exactly, ensuring stability and preventing score settling.
So, a very comprehensive agreement. Signed March 21st, 1949, administration handed over May 1st. The core ideas: full power to the Union, Maharaja's rights guaranteed, administration merged with Bombay, finances integrated, seemed like a done deal.
You'd think so.
But the story wasn't quite over for Sir Pratap Singh. What happened after the merger took effect?
No, it wasn't over. Despite signing the agreement, despite breaking down emotionally, Pratap Singh later tried to challenge the whole thing.
He challenged its validity. How?
He claimed the merger happened without his proper concurrence, that subsequent developments were unwarranted. Essentially, he tried to backtrack, arguing he hadn't really agreed or had been pressured unfairly.
How did VP Menon, the man who negotiated it all, respond to that?
Menon wasn't having any of it. He strongly refuted Pratap Singh's claims, and he had the evidence.
He signed documents.
Exactly. Menon pointed to the Maharaja's own written agreement, the resolution passed by his own executive council endorsing it, and even the public press communique he issued announcing the merger. All proof, Menon argued, that it was a deliberate decision.
Hard to argue with that paper trail.
Right. Menon basically said, look, these huge political changes weren't about tricking anyone. They were driven by the dynamic urges of the times. Integration was inevitable for the princely states in a free, democratic India. The tide of history, essentially.
A powerful argument. But Pratap Singh didn't just drop it. He remained controversial.
He did. Despite the guarantees he'd received, he continued to push back. In 1950, he actually became a key figure among some rulers who formed an association of rulers.
What was their goal?
To collectively air their grievances to the state's ministry. It was seen as an attempt to organize resistance or at least pressure the central government.
How did the government of India react to that?
They reacted decisively. This attempt to form a ruler's bloc, combined with his earlier challenges and backtracking, led the government to take firm action in April 1951.
What did they do?
They deprived Sir Pratap Singh of his titles, his privileges, his dignities as Maharaja, everything that had been guaranteed in the merger agreement.
Wow, they took it all back.
Yes, and they recognized his eldest son as the new Maharaja instead. It was a clear, strong message.
To Pratap Singh and presumably other rulers too.
Absolutely. It underscored the center's determination. Integration was final. Lingering princely power or organized opposition would not be tolerated. The merger agreements were binding, but so was the new reality of a unified India.
So our deep dive into Baroda, it really shows a complex picture, doesn't it? A state with this amazing progressive past.
Truly remarkable under Sayaji Rao.
Facing this huge task of fitting into a new, unified India. It's a story of vision in one generation, and then the complex challenges and deep personal struggles of the next generation.
All playing out against the massive backdrop of nation building.
Yeah. And you've seen the detailed planning that went into integration, the strong personalities involved, Patel, Menon, Pratap Singh.
And that unavoidable clash between the old world of princely privilege and the new democratic ideals.
Baroda's story isn't just about Baroda, is it? It feels like a miniature version of how modern India's map was actually put together. Painstakingly, sometimes emotionally, negotiation by negotiation.
A real microcosm, yeah.
So here's a final thought to leave you with. Consider this. What if more princely states had resisted integration, like Pratap Singh did initially? Or what if the Indian government under Patel and Nehru had been less firm, less resolute in enforcing these merger agreements?
That's a big what if.
How different might the political map, even the social landscape of South Asia look today? What lessons can we maybe draw from Baroda's story about finding that balance between, say, regional history or autonomy and the need for national unity, especially during times of really profound change?
A lot to think about there. The delicate dance between the past and the future.
Indeed. Something to ponder.